My dad's statement about my older woman. I knew the conversation was coming. From the moment I told my dad about her, I could sense the hesitation in his voice. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It was something quieter, something that told me he was already forming an opinion before he even met her. And I knew exactly why. She wasn't the woman he had pictured for me. She wasn't the girl next door, the one my mother might gossip about with her friends, the one who fit neatly into the version of my future he had always imagined. She was older, wiser, a woman who had already lived a full life before she ever met me, and now the moment had finally arrived. My dad sat across from me, his fingers tapping against the table, his expression unreadable. Then, after a long silence, he made his first statement. She's lived more life than you. It wasn't a question. It wasn't even an accusation. It was a fact. And I knew what he meant by it. She had experiences I hadn't had yet. She had seen things I was still just beginning to understand. She had years behind her that I had yet to live myself. I didn't argue because he was right. But what he didn't understand, at least not yet, was that this was exactly why I loved her. She knows what she wants to you. My dad's voice was calm, but I could hear the weight behind his words. You're still figuring yourself out, he said. You're still building your life. But her? She's already been through that stage. She's not searching anymore. She knows exactly what she wants. Are you sure you do? I could see what he was really asking. Are you ready for this? Are you sure you're not just caught up in something new, something exciting? Do you really know what it means to love a woman who won't wait for you to catch up? And I had thought about it. I had spent nights wondering if I was making the right choice, if I was stepping into something too big for me. But every doubt disappeared when I was with her. Because she didn't just make me feel something. She made me see things differently. She didn't play games. She didn't make me guess where I stood with her. She challenged me. Yes, but she also made me want to be better, to grow, to step into my own future with certainty. And that was something I had never had before. What if one day you realize you want something else? That was my father's greatest fear. Not that I loved her, not that she was older, but that one day I would wake up and feel like I had missed out on something. That I would resent the years between us, that I would start wondering if I should have chosen someone younger, someone at the same stage of life as me. Love feels easy now, he said, his voice softer this time. But will it still feel easy 10 years from now? I didn't hesitate this time. Love was never supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be real, and what I have with her, it's the realest thing I've ever known. For the first time my father sat back. He didn't speak right away. He just looked at me, really looked at me, as if trying to see the truth for himself. And then after what felt like an eternity, he let out a slow breath. I just want to be sure you know what you're doing. It wasn't full approval, not yet, but it was the first step toward understanding. And for now, that was enough. The conversation wasn't over. Even though my father had softened, even though he had let go of some of his initial resistance, I could tell there was more on his mind. He was holding back, choosing his words carefully, as if trying to find the right way to say what he really wanted to say. And then finally he spoke again. Son, are you ready for the world's opinion? His voice was calm, but I could hear the warning beneath it. It's not just about what you feel, he continued. It's about what the world will say. And you know how people are. I knew exactly what he meant. People would talk, they would whisper behind our backs. They would raise eyebrows at the difference in our ages, at the way we fit together in a way that society wasn't used to. There would be judgment, assumptions, questions disguised as concern. Why her? Why not someone your own age? What could an older woman possibly want with a younger man? My father wasn't trying to scare me. He was trying to prepare me, and so I answered him honestly. I don't care what the world thinks. People will always have opinions, Dad. But they don't have to live my life. I do. He sighed, rubbing his temples, as if he had expected that answer, but still wished I had said something different. She won't change for you, and she shouldn't have to. This time my father's words weren't a warning. They were a fact. She's already the person she's going to be, he said. She's not waiting to grow into herself. She's not going to bend who she is, just to fit into your world. He leaned forward, looking at me closely. Can you handle that? Can you love her without trying to make her fit into what you expected your life to be? It was a good question, because the truth was she wasn't like anyone I had ever been with before. She didn't need my approval. She didn't need my validation. She didn't need me to save her, complete her, or fix anything in her life. She stood on her own, and instead of making me feel small, that made me want to stand taller beside her. I don't want her to change, I told him. I love her for exactly who she is, and for the first time, my father didn't challenge me. He just nodded, letting my words settle between us. The shift in his expression. For all of his questions, for all of his concerns, my father wasn't just worried about the age gap. He was worried about me, about whether I had thought this through, about whether I was chasing something temporary, about whether I understood the weight of the commitment I was making. And now, after everything I had said, I saw something in his face change. He wasn't completely convinced. Not yet, but he was listening. And that was more than I could have asked for. The weight of the conversation hadn't fully lifted, but something had shifted between us. My father wasn't a man who changed his mind easily. He believed in logic, in experience, in lessons taught by time. He wasn't the type to be convinced by feelings alone. But now, after everything I had said, I could tell. He wasn't just hearing me anymore. He was listening. And then, after a long pause, he spoke again. Love feels simple in the beginning. His voice was quieter this time, as if he was no longer challenging me, but instead trying to prepare me. Right now, everything feels good, he said. You're in love, you're happy. And that's a beautiful thing. But love doesn't stay simple. Life complicates it. And when it does, will you still feel the same? I knew what he meant. It wasn't just about us. It was about the realities that came with our relationship. The way people would always see the years between us before they saw the love. The way our experiences didn't always align because we had lived in different timelines. The way life had already shaped her, while I was still shaping myself. She's been through things you haven't yet. My father continued. She's ahead of you, in ways you don't even realize yet. And that's fine, until one day it's not. Until one day you wake up and feel like you're still catching up. Will you be okay with that? It wasn't an accusation, it was a challenge. And I had thought about it before. I don't need to catch up to her, I said. I just need to walk beside her. My father studied me, as if trying to find any hesitation in my words. He didn't find any, and I think in that moment he realized something. I wasn't just defending her. I was choosing her. You're more like me than you think. My father leaned back in his chair, exhaling through his nose, and then unexpectedly he smiled. You remind me of myself when I was your age, he admitted. I was stubborn too. When I made up my mind, there was no changing it. He shook his head slightly, as if he had just come to terms with something himself. You're not asking for my approval, are you? It wasn't a real question. He already knew the answer, because the truth was, I had already made my decision. And my father, for all his worries, for all his doubts, he saw that now, the statement that said it all. There was a long silence before my father finally spoke again. If she makes you better, if she gives you a love that challenges you instead of just comforting you, then maybe you're exactly where you're meant to be. That was it. Not a grand blessing, not full acceptance, but a statement. A statement that told me he understood, even if he wasn't completely sure yet. A statement that meant he wasn't going to fight this anymore. And for my father, that was as close to approval as I was ever going to get. I sat there, letting his words settle. For the first time since this conversation started, he wasn't trying to convince me to rethink my decision. He wasn't warning me about the risks or making me question my own heart. Instead, he was doing something my father rarely did. He was accepting that this was real, but I could tell he still wasn't finished. There was more he wanted to say. Love is a choice, not just a feeling. His voice was steady, like he was speaking from a place of experience rather than opinion. Right now you feel certain about her, but love isn't about what you feel today, it's about what you'll choose when things get hard. It's easy to love someone when everything is new, when there's excitement, when there's passion, when you haven't had to face the tough parts yet. He paused, looking at me with the same serious expression he always had when he was trying to teach me something important. But what happens when the excitement fades? When life throws things at you that you weren't prepared for? When her past collides with your future in ways you didn't expect? I knew what he was saying. It wasn't doubt, it wasn't disapproval. It was a reminder that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. A choice to stay, a choice to grow together, a choice to hold on, even when it would be easier to walk away. And I had already made that choice. Dad, I know this isn't just about now, I told him. I know this is bigger than just what I feel today, and I'm not afraid of the hard parts. I'm not afraid of growing into this love. He studied me for a moment, and for the first time, I saw something in his expression that I hadn't seen before. Not hesitation, not concern, but understanding. If she stands by you, then you stand by her. My father had always believed that a relationship wasn't just about love, it was about loyalty. If she's willing to fight for you, to walk through life with you, to stand beside you, even when things aren't easy, then you give her the same in return. You don't run when things get complicated. You don't let people's opinions shake what you know to be real. And you sure as hell don't ever make her feel like she's just an option. I already knew these things, but hearing them from him, hearing him say it like this, it felt like more than advice. It felt like permission. Because despite his doubts, despite his concerns, my father wasn't telling me to leave. He was telling me how to stay. His final statement. The conversation had lasted longer than I expected. But as he stood up, I knew it was finally coming to an end. He took a deep breath, looked at me one last time and said, "Then don't mess this up." That was all. It wasn't an enthusiastic blessing. It wasn't an emotional speech, but it was a statement. A statement that meant, in his own way, he had come to terms with this. A statement that meant